Hello, everybody. Happy weekend. I hope everybody's having a great Labor Day weekend so far. Hope you all got some big plans. Avoiding the heat wave by going to the beach, pool, drinking. I don't
Sitting
know.
in a tub of ice, spitting on each other.
Seriously, it is just, again, it's just hot as shit out here. I am not a fan of this heat wave. I don't think anybody is right now. And I know, like, SoCal, we're, like, spoiled by the weather, but this is hot for us.
It's hot.
So, yeah. But, as you guys have guessed, another big show I've been kind of looking forward to for a while, I think Burn has been as well, is Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power on Amazon Prime. It dropped actually on Thursday at 6 p.m., but, you know, we decided to review it for this weekend. And they dropped the first two episodes. Both are around an hour, if not more than an hour. Like, only a few minutes, though. So it's definitely a bit of a watch. But, oh my god, I think this one has set the new standard for streaming. I'm sorry. Like, Disney, I hate to say it, Disney ain't got shit on Amazon right now with this show alone. And that's saying a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how, the original Game of Thrones series sort of set the bar for what blockbuster TV looks like, and then, we saw with The Mandalorian and the use of the volume technology there, like, we were getting some visuals that, like, movie-level visuals, right? This is straight up, like, a movie every week. You the way you described it in our private conversations was exactly that. Every single episode felt like each one had, like, a $120 million budget. Like, the scenery alone in these two episodes were just amazing. like holy shit.
The effects, the visuals, the props, everything is cinema quality. And again, Marvel's like second place with that now. They got the silver medal, and then HBO I would put in third, if not tied with Marvel, because they're both solid. It just depends on the show they're working on. But man, this has set the bar. But before we start getting into the spoilers and really delving into the craziness of the show, don't forget to give us a like, ring the bell, and of course subscribe, because we appreciate growing our ranting community for so we can all just keep the conversations going. But back to the spoiler review. Again, holy shit! This is the intro alone was like. Yeah, like if I was sitting in a movie theater, I could not tell you this is going to be a TV show. That's how crazy good I'm liking it. So, check mark for the visuals. That was fantastic.
Yeah, straight up. I mean, just that opening battle sequence alone was as good or better than the opening battle sequence that we saw in Fellowship of the Ring. Like, the shot of that, ring wraith taking down the eagle was just like, oh my god. I audibly out loud said, holy shit, like, this looks amazing.
Was that a ring wraith on it? I thought it was just that, like, fell beast.
I don't know what that beast is called. I just referred to it as a ring wraith because I forget what it's called. I mean, like, their dragon
growing up, I thought
thing.
it was I thought it was a dragon growing up, but actually looking into it, it's called a fell beast, so it's kind of like a
that
weird
thing, yeah.
It's like almost, I guess they call it like a giant lizard creature. Like, it's just supposed to be like a very fucked up looking bird, I suppose. So.
I guess because, like, I always thought, like, that the riders were just referred to as Nazgul, and I thought the ring wraiths were the creature. But yeah, you're right, the fell beast then, I guess.
Yeah, either way, that was a crazy thing, because, like, eagles are total badasses, so I was like, what? How did this thing get taken down out of nowhere? But, for those of you who haven't seen any of the Lord of the Rings stuff at all, the original movies, which are some of the best movies of all time, in my opinion, they are considered a little, super nerdy and stuff. There's a lot of jokes revolving that. But, in all honesty, again, they're such badass and they're so great with fantasy. This takes place, like, thousands, if not, I would say thousands of years before, because...
I think the speculation is around, like, 3,000 years before or something like that.
Oh, it's a long ass time. I would put it up even as 5, just because, how much time passes in the beginning of the Fellowship. Because this show is about the main character Galadriel, who is like one of the most ancient and most strongest and most well known of the elven world because there's 3 races of people in Lord of the Rings: dwarves, humans, and elves. She's a head honcho. So if you hear Galadriel and pop culture. It's like she's a big deal in that world, and this is basically following her journey against the forces of darkness, specifically Sauron, because him and this first evil Morgoth, they started a war of darkness in Middle Earth, and her brother died in the first battle, essentially, of the Second Age. So she's just, dead set on trying to kill off Sauron and stop anything from happening. Mm-hmm. And that's about as far as we got, because it's only dropped 2 episodes so far. But oh my gosh, it was so great. Like, I didn't realize Sauron was around at this point in time. I thought he came I'm not too familiar with Lord of the Rings stuff, so I was like, oh, Sauron's alive. Okay, cool. That's kind of neat.
Just to give everybody like a general idea of like where we're coming from. Like, what is your like exposure to, the Lord of the Rings universe? Because to me, I mean, I haven't read none of the books. I don't really know a lot of the extended lore. I really only know the 6 Peter Jackson movies and the video game, the Shadow of Mordor, which sort of kind of ties into it. There's a character that is in there that is here too. So that is basically the extent of my knowledge. I have not read any of the books at all. I think it's the same for you, right?
I kind of read The Hobbit in middle school, and I say kind of because who reads for school? I never did. I just had to catch up and do okay on the quizzes. Not really. I did bad on that. But anyways, I kind of read The Hobbit a little bit, and then just mostly the movies, and then Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor. So that's as far as my knowledge of the Lord of the Rings goes. And I'm fine with it just because the movies are freaking amazing.
Yeah.
They got nominated for Academy Awards.
And won a bunch of them.
Yeah, and they won, so it's not just, shit for shit.
Just because, I don't want people to think like, like we're any sort of like book snobs or anything like that. So it's just because like...
I pull out my ring, like right here, like, where's yours, Bernie? We'll pull out your precious. Do you ever see Clerks 2? You've seen that movie, right?
It's been a while.
Because I like when the guy he's making fun of his coworker and this other nerd who loved Lord of the Rings. He's like, ain't Return of the King, it's of the Jet.
Okay, I've seen that quote. Yeah.
He's like, Star Wars nerd, what a loser. I just love that they make fun of each other so bad.
But yeah, so like if there's any like deviations that the show or the movies made from the books and stuff, that's something that you and I are not going to catch. So that's not really any relevance to me. I'm just worried about, is the show on its own merits good? It's like, I'm not going to be comparing it to anything for like, for comparison's sake. Like, I haven't read any of the books, so I can't compare it to anything.
I'm going to be like one of those true Lord of the Rings fans. You're like, I hate it. Hate everything about it. It's a horrible show.
I mean,
it should never have happened.
They hated Peter Jackson's movies, which is like, okay, sure.
That's just whatever. I'm not even getting into it. I mean, I wouldn't mind taking a crack at the books, even though they're probably like
true,
Bibles themselves. But I will still try it eventually. Anyways, the main actor they got for Galadriel, who like Morfydd Clark,
Morfydd Clark.
Yeah, Morfydd Clark. Oh my God, she's awesome, and Galadriel's such a badass. Just because. In the original movies, you don't really know much of Cate Blanchett's character. Like, she has kind of a scary moment that always freaked me out as a kid, where she has like her god moment, just because she is like one of the legendary elves. She is essentially a god in that world. And that's as far as I knew from her. And then The Hobbit, she kind of showed off a little bit, but nothing like this, where, especially that scene with the snow troll was so cool, where she just fucking sliced and diced that thing like just nothing. I did not see any of that coming, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, where we see her at this point, she is, as you said like earlier, on a revenge mission, wanting to avenge her brother, and her and this group of other scouts are essentially trying to find any remnants of Sauron or orcs, that are out here after their battle. They've just sort of disappeared, after hundreds of years. They haven't been able to find any of them. So I thought that was like an interesting tidbit that, the evil came, there was a big battle, and they're just gone. So now like it's up to her and like other elves, presumably like going around Middle Earth trying to find out if this darkness is still out there. So that was really cool to see. Like, again, like you said, a very different depiction of Galadriel than we've gotten in the movies. But yeah, She was really cool, and that action sequence is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to way more action. I mean, we had that snippet, we had the battle scene. Um, Actually, that may be it. There really hasn't been too much
I
action.
mean,
It'll start.
yeah,
Getting
there
there, I
was
feel
that
like.
one scene in episode 2 with the orc, but we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah. So I love her. I think that's a very cool depiction of Galadriel. And then we see a very different Elrond, who originally was played by
Hugo Weaving.
Hugo Weaving. Yeah, and he's again complete opposite, because in the original movies we see him as a warrior. He fought in the second fight against Sauron, and he was a noble person throughout those movies, whereas in this one he's kind of almost snobbish. He's a little more of a political person, kind of playing behind the scenes, not very noble, but like he's still a good person, but he's definitely not like a warrior quite yet. So I thought it was really cool seeing that actor did a good job too.
Mm-hmm.
It was just different.
Yeah, it was interesting to see, again, because we're so far back. It's interesting to see these characters, how they were when they were younger, and here seeing him as an up and coming sort of like politician, playing second fiddle to Gil Galad, is that his name? The high elf king.
Gil-galad, yeah.
So him, like, that scene of like he wrote his speech for him and everything. Like, it's interesting to see like him, like how he's navigating his way up into the ranks of the elves and stuff. Again, we saw him as a leader in the original trilogy, and now we're seeing him like I guess we're gonna see his journey to that. And I think this actor that's playing him, what is his name? I don't have it up on here, but
Robert Aramayo. Ramoyo.
Yeah, I think he's doing a good job of portraying that sort of young politician, basically.
Exactly. I'm really digging that. It's just nice to see the exploration of this world. Like, we saw Valinor, like the Undying Lands that the elves came from, and then when they came over to Middle Earth, I didn't realize how massive everything was, because Middle Earth is like The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings already kind of made this world feel pretty massive, but then the beginning, how we saw the map stress across like the seas and stuff, and you see like depictions of serpents and stuff. I was like, oh dang, this is way bigger than I thought. It's like literally going from like one part of the world, like one half of the world, to the other. And we're just, again, the snow troll is a really interesting creature to see, how it's kind of like the cave troll, but it's got those tusks for teeth kind of coming out like a goat. So I thought that was really cool. And then in the second episode, when she decides to jump ship, we see the worm, as they call it, which is basically just a giant sea serpent, come after her on that little raft. I was like, oh shit, that's actually really cool. Because I always like when the fantasy or sci-fi explore like creatures and stuff like that. So
yeah, and to add on to that too, I like the redesign of the orc. It felt more like horror-esque, when we see the orcs in the Lord of the Rings movies, they feel like more so like cannon fodder. Not that they don't have their like scary moments, but they're essentially playing second fiddle to the Uruk-hai. They're the more bigger, imposing threat. Lurtz being the most notable one, but here, just the one that we see in the cabin in the second episode, it was pretty freaky looking, and like the way like almost looks sort of dog like in the face. I thought it was very interesting, and the characterization so far has been really cool, making me think like, oh damn, orcs are actually very scary.
Yeah, they're definitely. It's almost like, how do I put it? I kind of look at it as like it's almost like a very like caveman versus modern day like humans. So how orcs were much more human looking in the next movie, the original movies, and then in this one, we see that one who's like blind, almost like a delirious orc.
Because they've been underground so long.
Maybe not. Yeah, it's almost like, okay, this is different. And from the images so far for promo materials, they're definitely going for a much more horrific look, which isn't a bad thing. I'm all for it, because that orc was pretty like, holy shit, what are we looking at right here? So I really like that. And I mean, the character's great, the world is great. I like that it's expanding upon it. So we are seeing much more like elves, humans. We got to see Durin in his heyday, where Khazad-dûm, the only thing I thought of Khazad-dûm was just the Fellowship, where they're running through Moria.
yeah.
He's like, to the bridge of Khazad-dûm. Like, that was such a great scene. I was like, oh shit, that's where the Balrog, the Balrog is. And I love that the end of the episode too is like, here's more to come through the season. You see the Balrog come around, so I was like, oh fuck, that's gonna be so sad but so cool, because it's easily one of the coolest creatures of all of like cinema and fantasy. So
Yeah, and it was it was so cool seeing sort of the dwarves in their prime. Like inside this mountain with all the different mechanisms, like all the lifts that we see in there. The waterfalls on the inside, and just like all their engineering and their technology and stuff. That shot of when Elrond first gets inside, man, it was just like, this is really cool to see, because in the Lord of the Rings we only see it after it's been like destroyed and left in ruin basically. So to see it now like in its full glory was really awesome to see.
yeah, because even in the Hobbit there wasn't really any dwarf, like Moria and stuff too was also gone, like taken over. So yeah, it was really cool to see the dwarves, and even like their designs too, how some of the soldiers have like full on metal masks, like helmets, almost like kind of reminded me of like Greek stuff or like Egyptian kind of thing. They all have like more metal, gold, like
It felt sort of like
jewelry and
Viking-esque,
stuff.
you know?
Yeah, very much like Viking, or almost even like pirate kind of feel. But that was great to see them, and then Elrond's and Durin's little contest of breaking the rocks was
Yeah.
great. That was so much
So
fun to
good.
watch. And the character that I got pretty excited for too when that got thrown out in episode 2 was Celebrimbor, who, if you guys have ever played the Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor games, he's the elven spirit that goes with I forgot the
Talion.
ranger's name, but Talion, yeah, he helps Talion with everything. He's the one who crafted the rings. He died by Sauron's hand. So when he got name dropped and we see him in the show, it's like, oh shit, like you're gonna be a big deal. So I'm wondering if that'll happen, like if he dies or something in the middle of the show, or what they're gonna do. Just because, you were just telling me like it is confirmed for 5 seasons, or is that still kind of like speculation?
Yeah, at least for right now, the showrunners have said that this has been planned out for 5 seasons, essentially. Like the story's laid out from beginning to end over the course of 5 seasons.
For sure. Well, I'm gonna be there for all 5 seasons. I don't care, because I'm digging this so far. And then it was great seeing the beginning of the Hobbits, or known
The
as
Harfoots.
the Harfoots. Yeah, where they're much more rural and almost like cave people. Like how when humans are walking by, they kind of like, okay, it's clear, and they open up everything. I was like, oh my god, that's the beginning of the burrows. That's genius.
Yeah, so cool.
Very cool stuff. And let me see. Oh my god, I'm trying to think. But like I said, I'm just digging everything. The guy that fell in the comment, that was some crazy shit. I don't know what that could be. Is that Sauron reincarnated? Is that a wizard? I can't tell, but it's definitely a magic-based person. But like when that person gets angry and everything kind of goes dark and stuff, very much like what Gandalf did in the Fellowship and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
how like everything darkens around them, and it seems like the world's kind of closing in on whoever their subject is. That was really cool. Like throwback, a lot of really nice visual nods to Peter Jackson's movies. But yeah, I really liked a lot of the stuff with the Harfoots. I'm immediately endeared to Nori and Poppy. I think they have that sort of like Frodo, Sam, almost like Merry Pippin like type of like camaraderie with each other, with the way that they're sort of like whimsical and lighthearted, and how essentially like just like with Hobbiton, like how they're sort of detached from the outside world, and their journey is going to be one that leads them into the greater planes of like Middle Earth. So that'll be interesting to see how whoever this stranger is, and how them together, like where that what journey that leads them onto, because I have no idea where that could go.
yeah, I mean, obviously, I think it's going to lead them to becoming more like hobbits. They're going to see how people dress, how people, eat and cook stuff, and that because the hobbits, like, besides the dwarves, man, they knew how to live, they knew how to drink,
Oh
they knew
yeah,
how to eat, party
they
down.
had it made.
So I'm like, it's either them or dwarves. I would not mind being a part of. Like, elves are nice too. They had some very interesting foods and stuff, but it was like, I'm sorry, man. Hobbits have it made. They have the best life. Um, Other than that, like I really love these 2 episodes. I'm so into this. I can't wait for the rest of the season to just keep on coming. What else? Did anything else pop out at you for this?
Yeah,
one?
so the other storyline of Arondir and Bronwyn, the elf that we see who was one of those. Basically, he's basically the Tower Watch. These different elf sentries that are like stationed in different parts of Middle Earth, basically policing humans. To make sure that anyone who like sided with Morgoth, like if they don't like rise up again, they're basically like the ones that are there to make sure that the darkness doesn't like rise up. But again, we get sort of a little bit of like a Aragorn, Eowyn? No, not Eowyn. Arwen, sorry. Aragorn and Arwen,
Okay.
how they have that like sort of forbidden love. It seems like that's sort of the case with this elf Arondir and this human woman Bronwyn. So that's kind of like a cool little thing, but like his journey like through like what is he gonna do? Like how is his path gonna cross potentially with the Galadriel, because they're both on the same path of like trying to find whatever it is, this darkness that's now rising up. So that part was really cool, and of course that fight sequence with Bronwyn and her son against that orc in their house, that was pretty crazy too.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be her son how he found that Morgul or dark looking blade. I wouldn't be surprised if he either grows up to be the king, the Witch King of Angmar,
Mm-hmm.
or is he going to be a ring wraith? I'm just curious because the Witch King and the other ring wraith, like Nazgul, they were the kings corrupted by the rings.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either like he grows up to be a king and that happens, or I don't know, maybe he'll just get possessed by the darkness and help bring back Sauron. I don't know. Either way, it was very interesting to see that blade and his connection to it. Yeah, a lot of good stuff to unpack. I'm very curious to see how everyone's paths are gonna converge. Are they gonna? Is it gonna be like another fellowship, or gonna try and band the worlds of men and elves together to fight Sauron? Either way, I'm excited.
Yeah, after these 2 episodes, there's a lot of the different plot threads that we're getting are very intriguing to me. Whereas right now, like I wouldn't say like anything in here has like absolutely like hooked its teeth into me. I'm like in it for like the mystery, and like where I'm like okay, like I'm getting familiar with these characters now. Now I'm very interested in seeing where their stories are gonna take them potentially. So once we get like once we see like their storylines start to converge, like you said, I think that's when the show is gonna start getting really really damn good, because right now the visuals are so great. So I can only imagine when the storylines start ramping up how that'll like basically play itself out.
Yeah, a lot of these fantasy and adventure stories, like especially like Game of Thrones and this, they all start off where the characters are kind of all in their own little worlds and their own
A lot of
paths.
setup.
But every time they do, yeah, but when they do join together for a cause or something, it's like shit ramps up real quick. So, um, I guess guys, let us know in the comments. Did you watch these 2 episodes? What do you think of them so far? Are you interested in seeing the movies now, or is this are you hating it? We'd love to know, but. Stay tuned for our House of the Dragon episode 3 drop review coming up in the next couple days. I hope everybody has a great Labor Day, and above all, just stay bodacious and keep on ranting for us.
Yeah, everybody, be good, be safe. Try to stay as cool as you can, with this heat wave that we got going on over here. But yeah, until then, we'll catch y'all on the next one.